everybody, for tuning in to Coder Convos. If you want to catch up on any previous episodes, visit us at www.coderconvos.com. I'm here with my co-host, Brian.
How you guys doing? Brian Russick, professional drummer, drum teacher based out of Suffolk County, Long Island, New York. You can find me on the web at www.brianrussick.com.
And this is Kevin. And for today's guest, we have Calvin Sauveur, Manager of Analytics at Zenith. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. Gentlemen.
Absolutely.
It's a pleasure to have you on the show, man. Just to get things started, can you give us a little bit of information about your background? Like, how did you end up in your current role?
Sure thing. So for me, my career spans the last 12 years. When I first started my career journey, I worked for nonprofits, cultural art academies. And a lot of the roles I had, to be honest, they're more admin, more operational. However, I didn't see a lot of opportunities to grow or even elevate to leadership roles. Yes, I felt proud working for nonprofits and giving back to the community, but at the same time, I feel like my role or my impact was limited. However, there was a role in 2017, 2018 that allowed me to work with data and not only pull insight from data, but see how data actually being implemented with pretty much how my leadership team at that time served the students, serve potential donors, and just how they improve operational within their organization. So for me, I was like, I might have something going with this data analytics thing.
Right.
So I took a risk. For me, before, let's say, joining a few tech accelerator programs such as Co-op Career, such as Collabo, I quit the part-time job that I had. And I was like, let me just go all out with this tech accelerator program.
Right.
So there was like a year where I was unemployed and I just focused on doing boot camps, internships, and eventually it paid off. I got a few analytic roles for IT companies like Nelson IQ. I had a few analytic roles where I worked for ad agencies like Barkley. And right now I'm here at Zenith. I joined Zenith as, let's say, a manager of market research, aka that's a fancy role of I collect data, I create financial models on my clients' investment ads, and I research the market that they are part of in order to give them like a heads up or on the competition.
Interesting.
Yeah. So right now on the main account I serve is Verizon over at Zenith. And yeah.
Well, nice, man. So you kind of went the self-taught method. How did you know you were good enough to start applying for these jobs? Like, how do you know you were ready? Like, you studied enough and you would be capable?
The greatest irony is that when I was going through those stages of applying to boot camps, applying for jobs, knocking out certification, I didn't even think about if I was good enough. It was more about this is what I want. These are the words, like, for better or worse.
I get that.
Yeah, this is what I want. This is what I'm aiming for. I'm tired of getting this type of opportunity. I don't know if this is what I want to do. To be honest, I still don't know if this is something I want to dedicate my whole life to. I just know that I want it better and I aim to do better. And the rest is history.
That's awesome.
That's amazing, man. What was your experience like at your first job, and how did you acclimate and really get up to speed?
I would say my first corporate job was at Nelson IQ. And to be honest, there's things I did well and the things that, of course, looking back at it, I wish I'd done better. What I did well, at least during the interview, was I researched the company. And I talk about really research, knew who my interviewer was, and also found like events relating to that company, relating to Nelson that caught my interest, and I talk about it. While I work there, of course, I network. I remain open-minded and work with different departments. And the main thing that helped me stand out was that I utilized the tools that were presented to me. Nelson IQ, not to disclose their business, but they have a lot of in-house data solutions. And it was fun, let's say, me working on projects where we create a market report on like my client's industry. It was fun, let's say, learning about consumer product goods, how they measure the type of KPIs that they focus on. So I would say the things I did well was, of course, research and utilizing tools and resources provided to me, not that including training, me working or not shying away from working with different departments. Of course, some of the things I wish I'd done better is, let's say, understanding the culture of that company.
Right.
And more importantly, just knowing or studying the game of politics within corporate America as well.
Okay.
Yeah, can you dive a little bit into the game of politics? Like, what should somebody know to avoid either getting caught up in the politics or using it to kind of further their career?
Boom. That's a great question. And that's a really great question.
Yeah.
And I love it. The best way to answer it is to give my perspective on, let's say,
Okay.
again, the things I did well throughout my career and the things that I wish I'd done better. So going back to, again, your question, wishing that I knew certain things about corporate America. As someone who I didn't go to school for my current profession, my degree right now is actually from my experience in undergrad, and it's more towards business administration. It's more about dealing with the structured business. It had nothing to do with tech, had nothing to do with analytics.
Okay.
So, like you said, I'm self-taught. I assume that through doing all these certifications, doing all these training, that I have to be tech savvy. I have to know, once I get a role, I have to know how to do the technical aspect of it. The thing, however, working in corporate America is that you're dealing with people where you may view the opportunity as, this is my job, this is my 9 to 5, this is how I eat, this is my paycheck. So of course I'm going to master skills needed to do my job. But other people, the social aspect, the networking, coming to after our events, let's say, know how to cater to certain egos, certain personalities. To them, that's also important. And ideally, knowing who you work with, the personality that you're dealing with, the culture of the company, and by culture I mean these are the unexpected rules, social rules that people desire from you or expect from you.
Sure.
These are the things that you have to pay attention to. Of course, I would also add that building out your network, aka a team of supporters, allies, people who will actually be sponsors, is also a big plus. But I'll say, definitely for anybody listening, do not underestimate the social aspect and know who you're dealing with, because if you able to, again, not someone who don't not necessarily like gossip or like, again, politics, but
Yeah, right.
you have to cater to certain personalities. And if you don't, certain people, they can create obstacles to prevent you from growing. But other
Right.
people, just by having simple conversation, they're moving mountains for you. So
Oh, wow.
that's the best way to put it.
That's pretty significant. What would you say, for the person that's really green, really entry level, maybe they might be teaching themselves, they might be going to boot camps. What's the main piece of advice that you will give them?
Right now, one advantage that I had when I was doing a bunch of boot camp certifications, trainings, is that it wasn't trendy then. It was just something that I did. I found an opportunity, and without me even knowing, I was sort of ahead of the curve.
Right.
Right now, of course, I'm going to advise the viewers to continue to take advantage of free certification, free or low cost, free, let's say, educational programs, boot camps, all that. But apply it, what you learn from those opportunities, through, let's say, tangible projects. Because, for instance, right now, everybody can see we in a very, very competitive job market.
Oh yeah.
Shit, for lack of better words, things are getting intense. And not only are we competing with other human beings, we compete with other human beings from different side of the globe.
All over the world now. Yeah.
Yeah. And not only that, you didn't competing with those type of people, and you're also competing with AI, certain
Right.
technology.
Right.
So, yes, I will always say don't break the bank getting a master or PhD, especially if you can't afford it. I personally can't afford it at this point in my life. Hopefully in the future that change. But take what you learn from these free programs, apply it in projects that are applicable to whatever industry you're part of. Take advantage of platforms like GitHub. Even me, I'm trying to update my GitHub and find people who can, let's say, give guidance on that. So that's a few advice that come to mind. Take advantage of these free programs, but create and share projects that are tangible, that display your skills and your understanding and mastery of a craft or industry you're trying to be part of.
Right.
Yeah, I think a big mistake a lot of people make is like once they get the job, they stop doing all of that. But like you mentioned, you're competing globally. There's AI. You could be laid off at any moment. Microsoft, they just laid off thousands of people, and now you're back in the pool competing against a horde of people. So you really can't be slacking in this job market.
Exactly. It really that intense. Also, be coachable, because even me, there've been moments where I've been guilty of I could have done more.
Sure.
I could, let's say, learn more things. But one thing that always keep me competitive is technically not my tech skills, but also my desire to always want to learn. So
That's huge.
yeah. So for instance, at Zenith, just to give my current employer, one thing I have to give them credit for is that they do have powerful learning resources. They have connection to Udemy. So not only do I, let's say, complete programs that help me with applicable skills, such as, let's say, learning more about Microsoft Pivot Query system, learning more about how to automate some things using Python. Also utilize that platform to, let's say, learn more about music production using Ableton, or let's say learn more about prompt engineering, not only with ChatGPT, but also with, let's say, DALL-E, an image generator. So even me, I have fears, of course, always being laid off, losing my opportunity, losing it all. But at the same time, if you're someone who always hungry to learn, to grow, this market will only delay your success. It won't hinder it.
Right.
So in terms of like skill cultivation, do you believe in just doubling down and really focusing, say, okay, you're a front end engineer, just focus on that, or do you believe in more of learning a diverse set of skills?
That's a good question. And for me, the path that I take is just creating a diverse set of skills. Not saying that the other option, like doubling down on data engineering, isn't wrong. It just, how my career took me, I learned a diverse set of skills. With each role, each job opportunity I had, I grew. I learned something different about myself. I also was exposed to different tools. So, for instance, working at Nelson, a lot of in-house tools like a lot of Microsoft Office. When I worked for another ad agency before Zenith, I utilized a lot of Google Analytics Suite tools in order to, let's say, study, let's say, paid social campaigns, or let's say there's more digital media campaigns in general.
Okay.
With my current role, still Microsoft heavy, but it's, let's say, using Microsoft to create more detailed pivot tables, utilizing, let's say, Power BI, creating dashboards, stuff like that. So I just develop a diverse set of skills. However, let's say, choosing which path, to be honest, that depends on the person.
Yeah, because I think the danger of just being too focused on one skill set is if that skill goes out of vogue, then you're really, you're really messed up.
That's the problem there. Yeah, that's the problem.
So yeah, like I know another aspect is ageism in tech. Like once you hit a certain age, it becomes harder to get a certain job. So do you kind of recommend, like, okay, say somebody's like 37, that maybe they start looking into moving into management, trying to get away from just like being a technician?
That's a good question. I would say ageism is real.
Yeah.
So it's like, I'm not gonna say that's something that you shouldn't be concerned of. For me, technically the role that I have is management. However, I'll also be the first person to say for a management role, certain roles doesn't really matter. It's more about how skilled and how much impact you're able to contribute. So
Sure.
I would say how my mind thinking and just my perspective on that question, focus on, let's say, creating a niche. Yeah, you can always aim to elevate your career, management, senior roles. If you're someone who's trying to get into C-suite level roles, aim for that. But my thinking right now is I want to have a skill, a certification where it's hard to find this. It's hard to replace this person because this is what I'm able to produce.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, like how do you kind of distinguish yourself from, like, say, just a hypothetical coworker? Like, okay, if they're gonna lay somebody off, they're gonna lay him off before they lay you off because you're producing so much value, like you just mentioned.
I'll say, just in the spirit of transparency, that's something that even me, I'm still figuring out. I have ideas, of course, but I'm still figuring out. But I'll say, of course, create a niche. So for instance, within my current role, the main thing that a lot of my clients, or let's say, focus on, or let's say, not my clients, I'm going to say my company clients.
Okay.
A lot of things that they're focusing on is, how do I cut costs on advertisement? How do I, let's say, get these ads out in a future version of the internet where third-party cookies are not allowed? How do I, let's say, navigate a version of the internet where, let's say, VPNs are more effective? So me, just my level of thinking, I'm thinking about how can I continue to learn Python, or let's say certain skills that help me automate faster than the next person.
Right.
How do I get better at, let's say, getting out my own head, and instead of being reserved, know how to read the room, know how to, let's say, just understand and work with the nature of different personalities. Because again,
I think like half of it is, like you said, reading the room. You know, if you could read the room, you're probably going to do okay in corporate America.
Exactly. Because skills are one thing, but at the end of the day, humans gonna be humans, and you can't control how much people like you. But certain things, like, let's say, being approachable, being coachable, and just being pleasant to be around, that's always gonna count.
Right.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Like, if you have a bad attitude, if nobody wants to like hit you up because you're always moody, then that's going to affect you when they're looking for somebody to promote. Because people will typically promote somebody that they like over somebody they don't like, as long as they're in a similar skill bracket. So you could be less skilled but more liked, and you still get the promotion.
Right, right. That's a family. That's a fact. That's facts. Yeah.
So like something I found in terms of like, quote unquote moving up is just taking initiative, like doing things without being asked. If you see something that's a problem, you just bring it up. You're not waiting for them to assign you tasks. You kind of just do things on your own, as long as it's within a corporate, agenda. So to
Yeah. Um, that is true. And even me, I'll say I have a mixed experience with that. Um, because this is just my experience. There've been moments where, let's say, I was a person who certain supervisors would say that I wish you done more. I wish you took on this. Yes, Calvin, you peeped this, but I want you to take over. And there
Right.
also been moments where, let's say, without even asking, this is what I took over, this is what I was passionate about. And then I found out later that maybe, Calvin, you did come across too aggressive. And like, Calvin, you seem like you're trying to be Michael Jordan when people want you to be Scottie Pippen.
Yeah, right.
So again, some of the challenges I face is finding that balance. When can I take over? When do people want me to play a support role? But for my personality, I'm laid back. What I'm passionate about. I like to take over and just execute. But again, working corporate America, you have to find that balance, especially with who you're working with.
Right. Now, for our listeners, would you be able to describe some of these tools like Power BI, Tableau?
I would say I'm not gonna pretend to be like I know everything about it, but I can break them down to you. Especially let's say for the avid listener. So I say Tableau and Microsoft Power BI. They call business visualization tools. That's just a fancy way to say these are tools that professionals, expert, even hobbyists, they can use these tools by, let's say, inputting data into it. And they pretty much take this data, this information that you put into it, and they create visuals that help pretty much display what the data is all about.
Right.
So if this is just me making it up, if I was to get a data table that had information on the amount of games that Calvin played from January 2024 to December 2024. If let's say I was to put data relating to that into Power BI, I can create, let's say, a timeline. This is how much Calvin played Nintendo. This is how much Calvin played PS3. Or if I want to use a different type of visual, I can create a pie chart saying when Calvin on Nintendo, he plays Smash. He played a lot of Smash Bros. Or he played
Right.
a lot of Mario Kart.
Right.
So these tools are used to, let's say, just help you visualize the data in a way that your audience can understand it better and understand what you're trying to explain. I'll say, I hope that answers your question. And is there another tool you want me to break down?
Can you give our listeners an idea of what a pivot table is?
Got you. So with Microsoft Excel, it has different features. Of course, some of the features pertains to, let's say, using formulas or functions to clean your data table, transform your data table. But pivot table is, at least the best way to explain it, is that you're taking a data set and you're using the feature in Microsoft Excel, the pivot table, to transform that data set into a data table that's appealing and displaying the information that you want. Yes, it's similar to, let's say, using tools like Tableau and Microsoft Power BI. However, those tools are a little bit more, you can go more advanced with the type of visuals you want to create.
I see.
With pivot tables is like, it's more like a quick fix. It can be straight to the point. You can just break down the table or the data into ways that's feasible. Especially if you, let's say, working on a report and you need to just deliver it with a quick turnaround.
Right. I mean, what tool would you say is the most important in your current role?
I'll say definitely Microsoft Excel.
Okay.
And even when I first started working at Zenith, I would say if you would ask me when I first started working at Zenith, that would surprise me. But I've seen coworkers, and even myself, I've done a lot just using Microsoft Excel. The financial models is, let's say, just breaking down how my clients and the competitors spend and what type of advertising they spend. That was done with just Excel. How clean certain data done with Excel. Even if, let's say, I'm collecting data from different sources, and let's say, even if I'm collecting data from different sources, the first go-to where I put all those sources is Excel.
Interesting.
Even if, let's say, I want to save space on my computer because I'm collecting so much data.
Okay.
Use another feature in Microsoft Excel called, I believe, Power Query. And this can help just, again, transform your data and more importantly, cut down on file space. So Excel is, I'd say, definitely up there because it's a multifaceted tool, at least for my current role.
That's awesome.
So yeah, how do you go about collecting this data typically? I know there's probably multiple methods, but like, what are your more common methods to get this data?
I would say, right now there's certain tools that my team use, or let's say I use while I work at Zenith. Within the advertisement industry, there's data solution tools such as Kantar, Pathmatic, even tools such as iSpot, where you can collect data relating to advertisement, media spend, or even certain media clips. And you can collect it. The type of data that you collect, you can filter it or customize it based off date, what you're looking for, what your client is looking for. You download it, you transform it, you clean it, and you input it into Microsoft Excel. Another feature, and this is when I let's say, work on projects where I collaborate with others. Zenith have their own in-house data warehouse, and there's also external, let's say, data sources where there's, let's say, a Yahoo publisher.
Right.
So I'll say, to answer your question, you utilize certain marketing intelligent tools like Kantar, Pathmatic, and even iSpot to collect sources from the advertiser themselves. Also using API connections to collect from different data sources, whether it's external or internal.
Okay. So now let me ask this. Obviously, AI is becoming more and more popular.
Yeah,
People are hearing about Chat GPT in the news. Some people are
yeah.
concerned. Some people are, amazed by it and really want to use it. How is it going to, well, as far as you know, how is it going to affect your job or your role right now?
I'll say there's a good, again, I'm trying to be balanced, and I'm trying to be balanced. So I'm
Yeah.
gonna give the good side of it, I'm gonna give the bad side, not the bad side. Let's say the side that more I feel like people should be paying attention to. So the good side is it can make your life easier. Um, I want to learn Python because even outside of, let's say, this role, you can use Python to automate cleaning files on your desktop. You can use Python to, let's say, help enhance certain security features on your computer. With my current role, I want to use Python to automate how data is collected and funneled into different reports.
Okay.
That's one thing that I study. So there's also tools that if, let's say, you get more advanced, you can create API connections from whether it's internal or external data sources and have it funnel into, let's say, tools like Tableau. And now you have graphic charts that automatically updating themselves with fresh data.
Okay.
So if you master certain tools, you can be your own one-stop shop for insight resources and QA services. With AI can help you do that. And if you can do that, no tool can replace you. In my personal opinion, AI will never replace human creativity. At least, knock on wood, I hope we're not allowed to see that. I just hope.
Yeah, no, amen to that. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Some of the, let's say, not so fun aspect is that it's not going to stop certain forces, certain people, instead of trying to attempt to replace human creativity. So, for instance, one thing I thought was dope and both inspiring is that I think Adidas created a ad commercial for one of their sneakers, and they use an AI content creation tools. I don't remember if it was, let's say, something like DALL-E, but the main thing is they use an AI video generated tool to create an ad. This is, if you're viewing it as from the perspective of an advertiser, or even, let's say, as a major brand like Adidas, Nike. Actually, let me rephrase that. If you're viewing it through the lens of, let's say, a brand like Macy, Adidas, Nike, you're like, ooh, this is dope. This gonna save me money.
Right.
Like this wavy. I'm gonna mess with this. If you're viewing it from the lens of an advertiser, this is like, oh, this might be a potential aspect of my business that might not do well because certain clients are not going to rely on me anymore for this.
Right.
And more concerning for creatives who actually, let's say, whether photographers, videographers, if enough people use this, how this is going to affect my bottom line. So as someone who, let's say, I always enjoy finding out about new technology. Even me, I use AI, I use ChatGPT, DeepSeek. I enjoy using DALL-E, but I'm not going to pretend that, there are certain things that, let's say, we should probably think more about before these tools become more popular. Please forgive me. Because in my opinion, again, AI won't replace human creativity. Where, let's say, create an unfair market for creatives. That is something I'm concerned about. But I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, so I mean, I know definitely I've talked to graphic designers or UI, UX people who they are concerned that this new technology, could replace them.
Yes.
What do you think about that?
I think it's valid.
Yeah.
Is it for better or worse, I think that's a valid concern. Another thing that, let's say, I don't feel like people are talking about it enough. Surprisingly, I heard about this at some conference event that I went to pertain to UN, but one thing that's also, let's say, a risk is that if everybody keep using AI, there won't be original data on the internet because it'd be AI generated. The content, the words, the thing you read, the thing you watch, there won't be original data. There won't be pretty much human creativity. And if, let's say, 20 years from now, we in the internet that everything's AI generated, what's going to be the next level of creativity? Even AI is fed or powered by machine learning. Machine learning is just you feed a tool, you feed a certain tool a huge amount of data, and then it's able to automate some things. So it's like, I believe that's a real concern. And for me, I am, along with studying some AI tools, I'm also very curious about what are pretty much our politicians going to do to protect
Right.
the
It's a good question.
the average person, and
Right.
even with someone like me, I like doing creative stuff too. So how do I make my work pretty much uncopyable or something that can't be imitated so easily?
How do you stand out? In other words.
Bingo. Yeah. That's what. Yeah. That's the best way to put it.
I see where your head's at.
Yeah, I think people who still have those original skills are going to be at a premium in the time to come, because a lot of people, if you're dependent on AI, you're not learning, you're not getting skills. Just creating the paper artwork for you. You're just telling like your digital slave what to do. So you're not progressing. And like you mentioned, if AI is just learning from AI, can it get any smarter? If it's just learning from its already generated data, how is it going to come to any new conclusion?
Yeah, but what you said just now also gave me hope, because those who have genuine skills, they'll never go out of style. So that made me hopeful. That made me smile.
Yeah, I think we're moving into an era where it might be less about pure technical skills and more about creativity and something that AI just can't duplicate, like, just immediately duplicate, because it has to have the original to be able to copy and produce replicas.
I agree. So if, let's say, the last 50 years was the age of information, I believe probably the next 50 years might be the age of raw creativity / resourcefulness.
Right.
Yeah, you can use ChatGPT to generate the perfect resume, the perfect think piece. But I guess the true master would be the person who's asking ChatGPT the right question to get the right result, and then combining it. So some people are going to use AI as this single source of their creativity, or some people are just going to use it as assistant.
To enhance.
Bingo.
To enhance. Okay.
Yeah, so I like that. Like the future looking more brighter. I like that.
I mean, stuff like I'm a musician, like, composing music. I know AI can do it, but humans are very, very creative when it comes to that.
Yeah. For me, I love music. So I hope now, I hope that that's something that AI can't easily imitate. Yeah, I know there's AI tools that generate music, but haven't seen anything that's this impressed me.
Right.
I am curious, have you met like musicians who, let's say, use AI to help compose like notes or write, like, let's say, film scores?
Not yet, but I've heard that that's kind of probably upcoming.
Got you.
I think it pretty much used to maybe brainstorm ideas, but then they take that and then work with the, if they like something, it's kind of like a prototyping tool.
Yeah.
I think that's what it's going to be used in a lot of these creative fields. Like I even seen a video game company like they could create these quick prototypes with AI and see the audience's reaction and to see if they really want to invest more money into this. So I think it'll be good for that kind.
Yeah, I agree.
So yeah, my question is like, okay, let's just say AI, everything goes as planned, and we don't have to quote unquote work anymore. Like, what do you think you would be doing with your time? How would you be spending your day if all of the main work tasks are done by robots?
Hmm. I'll say if that future was to come, and let's say money wasn't a factor anymore, I'll go back to doing more photography, creating more instrumentals, um, just doing more video content where I talk about philosophy.
That's awesome.
Appreciate it. Travel more, because again, AI is a powerful tool, and I do believe humanity we should utilize AI, but we should also pair AI with, let's say, technology that can help clean the planet. Because some AI tools, to be honest, do produce waste. Ideally, I would want to, let's say, also focus on my health. So if let's say there's a AI tool that can help clean toxin out my body, who knows? Like in the future, there might be like mini bots that can really kill cancer cells. Who knows? But definitely, I would say focus on my creativity, my health, traveling, and be around, let's say, more people that I love, who love me, or people who generally inspire me.
So we're like really creating rich experiences.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Life is short, and
It
it really is.
really is. Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, I like technology. Yeah, I like certain aspect of my role, but a computer screen to me, certain things I'm still gonna be traditionals. A computer screen will not replace like human interaction with another person. It's convenient because we don't have to travel across the country to meet each other, but
Right.
certain things I don't think technology will ever replace.
Like, do you kind of think it would allow for almost like a prolonged childhood? Like, when we were children, we didn't have to worry about paying bills. It's just mostly leisure, playing. Like, do you think that would be able to be extended once AI is handling all the major, or robots are handling all of the major responsibilities?
I like a question like this. I'll say the first thing that comes to mind is that not prolonged childhood. In fact, I'm not even sure I would want technology to be utilized like that because eventually you have to grow up. One thing is that technology can actually be used to improve humanity. It can be used to, let's say, combat, let's say, global warming, because now we have AI tools or, again, like nanobots that can eradicate microplastic out the ocean. It can be used to let's say, help stop things like human trafficking, because now there's like surveillance tools that aren't abused by the power that be, but they now can be used to find missing children. There's tools that, let's say, can help prolong human life. So instead of people dying from cancer or age, we still get to live, let's say, extra 100, 200 years without discomfort from sickness.
Right.
Instead of, let's say, people have to work in one industry or one role for the rest of their life, you can actually try different things. You can learn different things and have tools that help cater to how you learn. So if, let's say, someone want to use, in the near future, someone want to use the technology at hand to prolong their childhood, they can do that. Up to them. I believe in free will, but ideally, in the future, that if, let's say, I have the power to create a future of my choosing, or a future that I think would benefit humanity, that's what I envision.
So like so say AI could extend your life maybe to be like you could be like 500 years. Is that something you would want to do, for one? And two, like how does the progression into the different life stages look like, since technically 100 would be the equivalent of 20, like what would be like what would life look like, and can our brains even capture all of those memories? I think life would just be completely different if we lived to 500 versus like 100.
It would. And I thought about, trust me, I would be open to extending my life 500 years. Yeah, I need to think about that. But definitely would want to have, I'll probably have a big family. I'll probably have a big family, can't lie.
Yeah.
I'll probably be one of the people who is pioneering space travel. It might be crazy. It might be crazy to think this, but I'm imagining transforming one of the moons on Jupiter, or let's say colonizing Mars. In fact, I don't even like the word colonizing. Just transforming Mars into somewhere livable. That's they're trying to resurrect a dinosaur. Have my own personal T-Rex. So, for lack of better words, I don't know if I'm the person that people would even want to have their life extended, because I would start doing random shit. I'll start doing random things. With technology. But the main thing is I'm thinking more enriching experience. I'm thinking about building and creating more. I'm thinking about, again, traveling. And since if I'm living up to 500, it won't be just limited to traveling across this planet. Nah, it might be let's explore the solar system. So that's the type of things I imagine. That may not be specific, but it'd be definitely more enriching experience, especially since I can live long enough to see it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think you would have to do something like get off the planet to prevent from getting bored, because like, maybe at year 150, you've experienced most of the stuff Earth has, or at least I would think.
Yeah. That's a good point. And that's always possible. The main thing is, I feel like if I was able to experience and knock out all the goals that I have in this lifetime, me living to 150, 300, I'd be like, I'm satisfied. But who knows? In the future, with how future is going, who knows?
Now, let me ask, what are some of your main goals right now?
Right now, I feel like, of course, like everyone else, I'm worried about job security. However, does it keep me up at night anymore? No, because I do have a strong set of skills. Especially with, let's say, not going to the best college, or let's say not getting a master's degree, for what, like pretty much like you gentlemen and like other people in our field, I accomplished a lot with having less resources than the average person. So, of course, I'm worried about job security. Of course, I'm open to, let's say, opportunities at my company potentially externally where I'll pretty much be more secure. In the long term, right now, I'm surprisingly focusing on what is my purpose, what makes Calvin generally happy and eager to wake up early in the morning. And it sucks to say this out loud, too many things to distract me.
Yeah.
Because I'll be the first one to say that it's good to have it. In this climate, definitely it's good to have a job that pays well, give you good benefits, all that. It's good to have a job that you can put on a resume and it gets people attention. But at the same time, none of that will replace actual happiness. So, again, finding purpose.
So more philosophical.
Yes, is more about
Okay.
fulfillment.
Yeah.
So, of course, I'm still studying and taking courses relating to tech skills, but I'm trying to return back to photography. I'm trying to get back in the habit of creating more instrumentals, even though I'm
Nice.
just the only one listening.
Nice.
For me, there's a lot of people in my family that either dealing with mental or physical illness or survived it, including myself. So focusing on my health, eating healthier, that's important. Yes, if you were to turn on the news, go on social media, sometimes it feel like the world's burning down. But for now, I want to eat my vegetables, work out, make an instrumental,
Yeah.
take a class on Udemy, and just do something that just make me fulfill.
That's awesome. Now you mentioned instrumentals. How are you composing them?
For me, right now I'm using Ableton. I
Ableton.
have
Okay.
yeah. To be honest, most of my time producing beats, I use Logic Pro. Was familiar with Cubase. Pro Tools is cool, but to be honest, Pro Tools is not my favorite. Logic Pro is the one that I like. Right now,
Yeah, I like Logic. Logic's pretty cool.
yeah, Logic Pro is dope. Ableton, I'm using it, creating with it now because I heard that this is the most flexible or one of the most flexible DAWs. So you can do a lot with it. You can do DJing. You can do. I just heard it has creative features, so that's the tool that I'm using now. I have a MIDI controller, and I have audio interface, speakers, and that's the main tools I have. I use a lot of plugins, and there's tools that I use to, let's say, cut samples up and just try to get jiggy with it. I'm not gonna lie though, if you can connect me with, let's say, music producers who are open to mentoring, that'd be a plus. But for now, that's how I'm creating.
Yeah, I think we could definitely do that. What kind of genres of music do you like to create?
I'm a hip hop head.
Okay.
Can't front. I do like, let's say, electronic music. So think like Flying Lotus, Thundercat.
Mhm.
One producer that inspired me a lot is Madlib. Also, of course, this is if I continue to develop my skills. We'll want to create like some Afrobeat or type of, I forgot the term, but pretty much a blend between electronic music and Afrobeat and Caribbean music. So,
Where,
yeah,
where can we find your current music at?
I'll say when I have definitely more free time, one of my favorite things to do is I'm listening or bumping one song, then I let's say whatever tool I'm using, Tidal, or Apple Music, just go do a thing and just randomly pop up music that they think I like. I also, especially when I was young, I used to go to just random events where I see underground artists performing. And if I like a song or hear a song I like, I bump it. I know that I'm also on TikTok. To be honest, TikTok is one of my favorite social media right now. And there's, let's say, influencers who have live session where they share local artists or underground artists. And that I like too. So I'll say, and also, there's always friends, people that recommend me music or share their playlist with me. So
Okay.
that's usually my avenue. Either
So you said like Flying Lotus, stuff like that?
Yeah.
Okay, very nice.
Yeah, top 5 producers that inspire me: Flying Lotus, Mallet, Knife Wonder, Jay Dilla.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and Pete Rock.
Okay.
Well, that's awesome, man. But yeah, we're kind of getting to the top of the hour. Before we get out of here, do you want to leave our audience with any closing thoughts?
Yes. So I'll say this is something that I'm implying and trying to live up to myself. In this era, right now, I feel like there's a invisible battle against people who are critical thinkers. More importantly, people who are naturally optimistic. So no matter what life is throwing at you, no matter what you experience, try to remain hopeful. Just like we said earlier in this session, there's no technology that will ever replace human intelligence or human creativity. And no matter what, the future is beautiful if we as a collective whole just pretty much put in effort to protect it. So I feel like the main thing that will help people succeed in this era is being able to endure the storm that I feel like most of us, this whole society is going through, and remember that, again, we have a bright future. So that's my closing thoughts.
Awesome.
Thanks. Yeah, thanks for having me.
Awesome, man. It was a pleasure having you on, man. Anytime you want to come back, just hit us up and we'll bring you back.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, most definitely.
We would like to thank you, everybody, for tuning in. We'll catch y'all next